Part 1. The Discovery. The silence in the abandoned archives of the Spectre Research Institute felt almost physical. It was thick, stagnant, as if the air hadn't been replaced in decades. I had come here for cinematic shots, but the building, which had stood empty since the 90s, greeted me with something far more unsettling than just dust. In the basement, cluttered with old office equipment, I found it. A leather briefcase, half buried in the rotting floorboards. Inside lay a portable Panasonic tape recorder, and a stack of tapes, numbered by hand. The first one was already inside the device. I pressed play. At first, there was only tape hiss, a static that sent shivers down my spine. Then, a voice emerged. Heavy, ragged breathing, and the sound of footsteps echoing on concrete. Recording number 1. My name is Victor. I've been working here for 3 weeks. The day shift is boring, but at night, things happen here that aren't in the manual. Victor's voice was calm, yet it held a strange tension, as if he were constantly glancing over his shoulder. I sat on a crate, feeling the basement's chill seep through my jacket. Yesterday, I found a door that wasn't on the building's floor plan. Second floor, east wing. It should have been a dead end, leading to the fire escape, but instead, there was a hallway. Long, narrow, with doors that had no numbers. I walked for about 100 meters, but when I turned back, the staircase was gone. Just a bare concrete wall. I instinctively glanced at my camera. The recording sounded too genuine to be a prank or a setup. Victor continued. I told myself it was exhaustion. Hallucinations from the mold that's everywhere. But today I heard a sound. A mechanical ticking, coming from inside the walls. I pressed my ear against the concrete, and I swear, the wall was warm. It was trembling. Like something massive inside was trying to breathe. A crash echoed on the tape, a loud, sharp metallic slam that made me jump and drop the recorder. The basement went suspiciously silent. I slowly picked up the recorder. The core of this story was that Victor wasn't just losing his mind. He was becoming a part of the building's architecture. I aimed my flashlight at the far wall of the basement. Where there had been nothing but flat concrete, a moment ago, a door frame was now emerging. No handle, no cracks, just a slight shift in texture. I had to get out before the building decided I was just another piece of its interior. Part 2. The Architect. I couldn't leave. Curiosity had become a stronger force than my survival instinct. I took the tapes and ran back to my car, my hands trembling as I inserted the second one. Recording number 2. It's the 4th night. I've barely slept. Sleep is a mistake. Yesterday, when I closed my eyes for just a moment in the security booth, I didn't wake up there. I woke up in a vast hall, where the ceiling vanished into darkness, and the walls were covered in old blueprints. My blueprints. But I've never been an architect. Victor let out a short, nervous laugh that turned into a dry cough. The building isn't just changing its layout. It's studying me. It knows I'm looking for an exit, so every time I hit a dead end, it adds another hallway. Yesterday, I walked through what used to be a solid wall. Now, there's a staircase leading deeper, far below the foundation. I hear sounds coming from down there. Not rats. It sounds like a printing press. The building is printing itself. It's manifesting new rooms out of thin air, using the vibration of that hum. I looked at my camera. The lens was clean, but on the footage I had recorded earlier, the edge of the screen was warping, as if the space itself had lost its density. I found him. I don't know what to call it. At the end of the third corridor, which appeared out of nowhere this morning, stood a desk. It was covered in tools that haven't been used in a century. Compasses, ink, translucent tracing paper. And everywhere, fingerprints. Long, impossibly long fingers. I finally realize, the building isn't a prison. It's a workshop. And I am the only expendable resource left. A long silence followed on the tape, filled only by a wet, rhythmic thumping, like something walking through thick mud. It knows I'm listening. It has gone quiet. It's waiting for me to stop recording, so it can finish correcting me. The recording cut off with a piercing screech. I scrambled to turn it off. Outside, just a few meters from my car, a silhouette slowly emerged from the dark building. In a window on the third floor, where there had been a solid concrete slab just an hour ago, a light flickered on. A figure stood there, watching. I slammed on the gas, feeling my tires spin in the loose dirt. I didn't look back until I reached the main road. But when I glanced in the rearview mirror, the building looked different. It had shrunk, as if it had swallowed the extra space just to hide from my gaze. Part 3. The Architecture of Flesh. I sat in my apartment for 3 days, the windows covered, the curtains drawn. I couldn't stop thinking about that window in the old building. The light inside. The way the building seemed to collapse in on itself, the moment I looked away. I put in the third tape. The clicking sound was no longer just mechanical, it sounded like bones snapping. Recording number 3. It's been, I don't know how long. The clocks here have stopped. They don't just stop ticking, the hands have fused to the face of the clock. I tried to leave through the main lobby this morning, but the lobby is gone. It's a hallway now. A hallway filled with rows and rows of doors that lead to nowhere. I opened one, just one, and found my own childhood bedroom. Perfectly recreated, but everything was made of concrete. My bed, my toys, the posters on the wall. All cold, gray stone. Victor's voice sounded different. It was smoother, almost melodic, but there was a wet, rattling quality to it. I can feel the building in my lungs. Every time I breathe, I inhale dust, but it's not dust. It's pulverized stone, microscopic fragments of the walls. I coughed today, and I saw something in the sink. It wasn't blood. It was mortar. Thick, gray, setting mortar. I am becoming part of the infrastructure. I am being integrated into the floor plan. The recording suddenly shifted into a high-pitched drone, like feedback from a massive POS system. I'm not afraid anymore. That's the most terrifying part. I can hear the building thinking. It's not a language of words, it's a language of blueprints. It's dreaming of new rooms. It wants to expand. It wants to stretch out into the city, to turn every house, every apartment, every office into a labyrinth. And it needs me to finish the designs. My fingers. They are so long now. I can reach things I couldn't reach yesterday. I can touch the ceiling. The tape ended with the sound of someone, or something, drawing frantically on paper with a dry, scratching quill. It sounded like claws on glass. I looked down at my own hands. For a second, just a split second, the shadows cast by my fingers against my desk seemed too long, too spindly. I pulled my hands back, breathing heavily. This wasn't just a story. This was an invitation. Part 4. The blueprint of my own skin. I threw the briefcase into the corner of the room, but the sound, that rhythmic, wet thumping, didn't stop. It was coming from my own walls. I pressed my palm against the plaster, and I felt the vibration. It was no longer the sound of a printing press, it was the sound of a heartbeat. I put in the fourth tape with shaking hands. Recording number 4. I have finished the draft. The building doesn't want the basement anymore. It's tired of the dark. It wants to breathe the city air. I am currently standing in the center of the building, and for the first time, I can see the structure. It's not made of steel or stone. It's made of memories. Every room is someone's forgotten childhood, every floor is a graveyard of abandoned dreams. Victor's voice was almost a whisper now, strained and thin. I looked in the mirror today. My skin? It's turning into drywall. If you press your finger against my cheek, it doesn't bounce back. It leaves an indentation, like soft clay. I am no longer a person. I am the foundation. And the worst part is, I finally understand the design. The recording was interrupted by a low, guttural moan, the sound of a building settling, or perhaps the sound of a man screaming without lungs. The final phase is simple. One entrance. No exits. I have drawn the last door, and it leads directly into the mind of whoever listens to this recording. Do you hear it? The ticking in your walls. That's not a malfunction. That's me. I am being mapped onto your home right now. I froze. From the hallway outside my bedroom, I heard a distinct, mechanical click. The sound of a door handle turning. A door that had never been there before. Part 5, The Last Door. I didn't turn around. I couldn't. I sat frozen in my chair, staring at the screen of my computer, my breath hitching in my throat. The door handle clicked again. Slowly. Deliberately. I looked back at the tape recorder. It was still spinning, though there was no more tape left on the spool. It was just humming. A low, vibrating sound that made my teeth ache. Recording number 5. The final entry. If you are hearing this, the mapping is complete. Victor's voice was no longer his own. It sounded like thousands of voices overlapping, a dry, crumbling sound, like stones shifting in a landslide. Do not look at the door. If you do, you will see what I have become. A blueprint of suffering. A corridor that leads only to itself. The building needed an architect, and now it has one. The tape recorder suddenly went silent. The humming stopped. The silence in my room was heavier than before. It was heavy with the presence of something that wasn't there a moment ago. I felt a cold draft on the back of my neck. Not from the window. From behind me. I gathered every ounce of courage I had and slowly, so slowly, turned my head toward the new door. It was open. And inside, there was no hallway. There was only a vast, dark space, where the floor was made of thousands of cassette tapes, stretching out into an endless, gray horizon. And standing there, at the threshold, was my own shadow? But it wasn't connected to my feet. It was reaching out. And it had very, very long fingers. The light in my room flickered once, twice, and then vanished. The last thing I heard wasn't a scream. It was the sound of a pen touching paper. Scratching, scratching, scratching.